everyone, it's Greg from Edinburgh Renaissance Fencing Academy here for another online fencing tutorial. Today we're going to be talking about the use of the rapier combined with an offhand weapon in the style of Grassi from the late 16th century. The use of offhand weapons or companion weapons was very common throughout the Renaissance era and into the Baroque period that followed it, in fact. And Italian fencing schools seem to particularly favour this style of fighting. De Grassi's treatise covers the use of a number of different offhand weapons, including various kinds of shield, a cloak, or even a second sword. But the most popular choice for both him and other fencing masters, from Italy at least, was the dagger, which is a convenient and versatile tool for use as a secondary weapon. In de Grassi's system, basically offhand weapons use the same fundamental techniques and fundamental body mechanics to apply them, with some more advanced techniques which are specific to the different forms. Today we're going to look at some core fundamentals. I'll demonstrate using the rapier and dagger, but you could apply these to the other weapons if you want. Okay, so first of all we need to look at the basic attack when we're holding something in the offhand. First of all, just a quick reminder of the single rapier stoccata, which is the basic thrust. So from lowward, like this, we push the sword forwards, advance a step, and rotate our torso, so we end up in this more or less profiled body position with our body protected by the sword, so our body's kind of turned behind the blade. Okay, so from the basic guard position, we push the sword, rotate the torso and step. With the dagger or other offhand weapon in our hand, first of all our guard posture is changed slightly, so rather than being angulated like this, the dagger is held out and forwards, so our chest is now square on towards the opponent. This is not a problem in guard because the dagger will protect this side of our body and cover that side of the body as well. So when we make the attack, the dagger remains forwards to cover the space on the left hand side. So the stoccata now looks like advance the sword and step. So the torso doesn't rotate at all or rotates only very slightly to engage the lead shoulder. The dagger can be moved wherever appropriate to plug the gaps in your defence. So generally it will be held on the offhand side of the body. If the sword is low, then the dagger is likely to be high because this area is the most exposed to a counter-attack. However, if the opponent was threatening over here, we could simply move the dagger over there. And similarly, if our leg was being threatened for some reason, then the dagger could drop low. So in this last example, I raised the sword to make a slightly higher angulated thrust, which means the dagger naturally drops low to fill in the gap. So, in order to practice this, I recommend you do a few repetitions, just experimenting with different angles of attack using the sword and just coordinating the placement of the dagger to cover the biggest gap in the defence. When you're doing this from a biomechanical point of view, you're going to be engaging all of these big structural postural muscles down the back. So rather than relying on this rotational mechanic, you're sort of pushing from down here in order to shove both weapons forwards. So at this point you should feel your back pretty much fully engaged. So try to exercise some awareness of the muscles in your body when you're doing that. Okay, second thing to briefly look at is the defence. De Grassi favours using the offhand weapon to parry so that the sword is available for an immediate rapid riposte. You can do this in a number of ways, using the different steps from the system. For example, if I demonstrate the parry to the inside with single rapier, sword goes this way, back foot goes the other way in a circular step, and then we knit the riposte. With the dagger, parry and then a quick riposte. However, you can make the sword parries with any combination of steps, and use the dagger just to parry as and when necessary. A few examples. Okay, so that's a really simple concept, but it's worth practicing. We should also note that while holding the paired weapons, all of the techniques, or almost all of the techniques, which are available for single sword, you can still perform while holding the offhand weapon. But to maximize efficiency, parry with the offhand weapon, riposte with the sword. And that's basically it. So those two fundamentals are good things to repetitively practice, to condition your body, to condition your reflex in a way which allows you to adapt from the single sword to the paired weapon system. So give it a go and see how you get on. That's it for today. I'll be back with another tutorial soon. Take care, everyone.